hero shooters. The main two, Marvel Rivals and Overwatch. You know what? Fuck it, I'm just gonna say it. Right now, currently, and I think it also has to do with the fact that I'm not playing Siege, but Marvel Rivals to me right now feels worse than the Clancy. There, I said it, okay? Because I am so tired of getting into games on Marvel Rivals and being forced to solo tank. Every single game I get into almost, I have to solo tank because I have 3 DPS who don't know how to play any other role, so they sit there and they play DPS anyway when they know we need another tank. And to make it worse, you always know when you're gonna lose based off what they pick as characters. The nightmare lineup that I get on my team is Spider-Man, Squirrel Girl, and fucking Scarlet Witch. And you might be saying, Reaper, that doesn't sound too bad. You know, all those characters are actually pretty good in the meta. These motherfuckers don't know how to play those characters. It's gotten to the point where I'm genuinely afraid of loading up comp because every time I do load up comp by myself without a stack or, you know, a team in general of people that I know, I just get throwers or people who don't know how to play characters, but they'll load up into comp anyway and play those characters, and when they start doing bad and you tell them, hey, can you switch? They'll get mad about it and start being toxic. That's what I mean by it really feels like the Clancy all over again. And you might be thinking, well, that's just Rivals. Overwatch can't be that bad, right? But it is. But it fucking is. When your team does not want to stay with you when you're trying to heal them, and when your Reinhardt goes to fucking Zimbabwe all the way across the map, and he's on like 1 HP, and then he spams no heals in the chat after you can't get over and heal him in time, that's when it becomes a problem. When I have Zenyatta on my team with like 3,000 healing, yeah, y'all remember that. Y'all remember that from a couple of videos ago. Or even when I have a hit scan Mercy Pocket duo on my team who are running around like fucking idiots the whole time, that's when it becomes a problem. Alright, I'm sorry. I had to get that off my chest. Alright, let's get back to what we're supposed to be talking about. Okay, so the state of these hero shooters, right? Besides the, you know, terrible teammates and the questionable decisions of others, I want to talk about the communities of these games. And the thing I want to start off with is the toxicity. And it is in most of gaming, but you'll see it more prevalent in games like Siege or Overwatch or Rivals, games where it's team-based games. Because if you do like a little bad or have, you know, a negative KD or you're not doing as good as everybody else, people will sit there and be so toxic. And before you start calling me a hypocrite, because I know I was literally venting like about 2 minutes ago about how bad my teammates were, I just want to point out I don't say anything about it. Like, I don't go into chat and start being a keyboard warrior because I'm mad that they were doing bad. And when people do that, arguably it makes people play worse than they already are. Because even with me, if somebody starts talking shit to me on the game, talking about how bad I'm doing, I'll start playing worse. Because the only thing on my mind at that point is, yo, I'm doing bad, how can I start playing better? And I'm not focusing on actually playing. And I think this also ties into how we, like, look at our stats and, you know, think we're doing shit. But at the end of the day, these are team games. Because sometimes it won't entirely be your fault. Like, in some cases, like, say in Overwatch, if nobody's pushing up or taking space, how am I supposed to pop off and get kills and, you know, support my team and whatnot? And it's the same thing in Rivals. Since right now a lot of people don't want to play tank, you'll only have one tank to take space, and if that tank doesn't know what they're doing or just isn't able to take that space, then the rest of the team can't do good. Well, Reaper, I have every single kill in the game and I'm always popping off, but I'm still losing because of my bad teammates. Have you ever considered the fact that maybe you just aren't supporting your team enough? And you might be saying, That's a stupid fucking analogy. That doesn't even make sense. But when you think about it and realize, how these games are supposed to be played, especially in like rivals where there's a lot of dive, those divers will shoot straight to your backline. If you don't do anything about it, your whole team is gonna crumble. And it's the same thing in Overwatch. If I'm playing Lucio in Overwatch and I have a Genji and a Sombra constantly diving me and, fucking with me, and I keep dying because nobody wants to do anything about it, then we're gonna lose. The team is gonna crumble. That's why I say it doesn't matter how many kills you get or how many assists you get, how much damage you have. If the team can't function like a team, then you're gonna lose. That's why 9 times out of 10, whenever I have a teammate doing bad, I try to give them a little bit of extra support, or I try to help them out, and play around them a little bit more, because maybe that'll enable them to start playing a little bit better. And I think that's where the problem lies. Instead of helping your teammate and, supporting them a little bit better, playing around them so they can do a little bit better, a lot of people will just sit there and be toxic and call them trash and terrible. And obviously that's going to bring them down and make them play worse. So why would you do that? Because if your team can't stay alive, then maybe it's time to change the game plan. And if your teammates won't switch, maybe you switch. I know it's annoying, but I mean, if you want to win the game, it's worth it, no? Now, obviously you're not going to win every game, but instead of just blaming it on your teammates all the time, maybe say, I could have done better that game to help my teammates, or I could have done something differently. Because at the end of the day, it is a team game. Just because one person is doing bad doesn't mean that you should be sitting there and just shitting on them about it. And maybe you should try to do a little bit better to make up for what they're not able to do. And you might be saying, I'm already trying my best, there's nothing more to do. Well, at that point, it just boils down to the game itself. You're not always going to get the best teammates, you're not always going to win every game, but instead of getting mad about it, just move on to the next game. Instead of sitting there after the game shit-talking your teammate, so now the next team they get on, they're going to play even worse for that team because they've got it in their head that they're shit and they don't know how to play the game. How about not doing that? How about, maybe saying what they did wrong and how they can improve, or even just not saying anything at all? I could understand if, they were doing bad in comp. I mean, obviously it doesn't reward being toxic to them, but, I can understand it a little bit. But if it's just quick play, and you're sitting there shit-talking after the game to your own teammates because they were doing bad, it's quick play. People are trying to learn the game, learn a certain character or something like that. Because quick play is a non-competitive mode. Nobody's there trying to be competitive. I know you'll probably go up against a team who thinks they're, the highest rank in the game, or they might even be the highest rank in the game, and they're playing it like it's comp, but at the end of the day, it is not comp. It is quick play. What is the point of sitting there and getting mad about it when it's just quick play, dude? It's not a competitive mode. Like, why sit there and be a dick just because your teammates are playing a little bad? It's not gonna help them get better, dude. It's only gonna make them play worse. Why shit on somebody's day when they're just trying to improve at the end of the day, just like you, when you could maybe give them some advice or something like that? And I'm going to touch on something that I was talking about a couple videos ago. Gaming has just got more toxic in general. And I understand that, it's always been toxic. Like the Call of Duty Black Ops 2 lobbies back in the day. Like, obviously, that was really toxic. Like, people telling each other to go fucking off themselves and calling each other the N-word. I understand that that's toxic, but it's gotten to a point of, like, if you're not good at a game, you're going to get called shit, and you're just not allowed to play. Like, even if those lobbies back then in Black Ops 2 were so toxic, you could still have fun playing the game at the end of the day. Like, nowadays it feels like all the fun has just been ripped out of it because everybody's so competitive, and, everybody wants to just win and win and win and win. And nobody wants to accept the loss that you can't even have fun playing the game anymore. And to be honest, that's one of the big reasons why I had to step away from Siege for a little bit. because I just wasn't having fun playing it anymore. All my friends want to do is play ranked, and I understand it because, Siege is a very competitive game. But what happened to the times of us loading up into quick match and, fucking around for a little bit, dude? That's why I don't understand this, thing of shitting on everybody else because they're bad when it's a game. You're supposed to have fun playing games. Games are supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to matter if you win or lose. It's supposed to be fun. If you're not having fun, then you shouldn't be playing the game. And I wasn't having fun playing Siege, and honestly, it's starting to become a thing of I'm not having too much fun playing, Overwatch or Rivals either, because it feels like every single time I hop on, there's always something to it. You're either just in a really toxic lobby, or you're just not able to have fun playing the game. Because there's times where I don't really want to sit there and hop on comp immediately when I hop on. I just want to sit there and chill and just play. Like, I don't understand the reasoning behind trying so hard all the time. Like, why not just try to have some fun for once? I think we all, in these communities need to just take a second to realize that we're supposed to be having fun. These games are supposed to be fun. They're supposed to fill us with joy and excitement, and not just be these condemning bad things, every single time you hop on. Just because your teammate is doing bad, that shouldn't ruin your mood, and you shouldn't ruin their moods because of it either. Because maybe they might be doing bad now, but they might start popping off randomly. You never know. You never know. But anyways, that's about it for today's video. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day and an amazing start to your week, and I will see you guys in the next one.